Tonight on UI7 News, some U of I students may have had the day off of classes today. Coming up, we'll tell you why the non-tenured faculty are on strike.
And Champaign-Urbana residents are expecting a new business to open next week. Find out how the community will benefit from the opening of the new medical marijuana dispensary.
And I'm Mia Rose. Find out if you'll need your umbrellas to walk to class this week. And we'll check out the weather for this weekend to see if you can break out those summer dresses. UI7 News starts right now.
From the Richmond Journalism Teaching Studio at the University of Illinois campus, UI7 News, your U of I news source.
Good evening, I'm Alejandra Reyes.
And I'm Joey Gelman. Today, a strike on the quad disrupted some classes at the U of I.
Non-tenured faculty took to the picket lines to fight for a contract. Members of the U of I Non-Tenured Faculty Coalition gathered on the quad today with signs in hand. The organization has bargained with the university for just over 18 months now to settle their first collective bargaining agreement. President of the NTFC, Sean Gilmore, says the only communication they've heard from the administration for the last 2 weeks is acknowledgement of the strike.
We feel the need, as we do now, to express our frustration with the pattern of bargaining, but also to take this legally acceptable move, which is withholding our labor to demonstrate our commitment.
The University of Illinois hires nearly 500 professors with contracts that last only 9 months. Gilmore says their demands are not only personal, but will affect all of the university for the better.
The main issues that the union is pushing for are those issues of stability and professionalism, things that would make us better faculty members, would ensure that people who have been here a long time are actually rewarded for that service, but also that they're here for their students and their research.
The NTFC is asking for multi-year contracts, early appointment notifications, and academic freedoms protection. In a mass mail, Interim Chancellor Barbara Wilson says the NTFC chose to strike after only one introductory meeting and one work session with the mediator requested by the NTFC. There are still 4 more mediation sessions scheduled. University spokesman Robin Kaler says it was a little disheartening that the NTFC chose to strike.
That we value them, we value their work. They are really contributing members of our team. And we want to work together to find an agreement that's fair and that is within the bounds of the constraints that we face right now with the state budget.
The non-tenured faculty strike is still going on, and UI7's Jasmine Din stopped by the quad to speak with spectators.
AFSCME and NTFC have been fighting for a contract for a really long time, and the administration has not moved. That tells me the administration not only doesn't care about that labor, but also doesn't care about my labor very much.
If they've done a good job for like 5 years or so, then they should be rewarded. But I feel like for teachers that are going to start working here for their first year, like it kind of makes sense to just be on like a year-to-year basis.
I'd be scared, job security, like what would I do like after that?
And I'm also an angry alumnus of U of I who thinks that the administration is not doing the right thing.
In other campus news, students are still on alert as they've received multiple safety notices in the past few weeks. UI7's Cassidy Williams is in studio with more on these incidents of sexual assault and abuse on campus.
April's Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and unfortunately there has been a recent spike in assaults on the U of I campus. Police and students are working together to help survivors and prevent assault in the future.
The University of Illinois has many resources to try and address the problem of sexual assault. Senior Alex Davidson is heavily involved in many of these programs. As a survivor of sexual assault herself, she says the resources on campus are now an important part of her life.
It's a feeling of, support. People who understand what survivors are going through, people who support survivors no matter what. Someone that I can always talk to that I know won't try to blame me or shame me or anything like that.
Davidson says she knows she isn't the only survivor on campus and that these things can still happen to anyone. As proof, on April 9th, 2 different sexual assaults were reported to the University of Illinois Police Department.
Police say early Sunday morning a woman was walking by Borough Hall when a group of college-age men approached her, physically picked her up, and groped her.
UIPD spokesman Patrick Wade says despite these 3 incidents occurring in only 1 week, this year's numbers are on pace with the previous 2 years. It is estimated that 1 in 5 women and 1 in 16 men experienced sexual assault or attempted sexual assault during their time in college. However, Wade says the UIPD's reports don't reflect these numbers because sexual assault is a vastly underreported crime.
We don't have a good grasp on how often this happens on our campus.
For Davidson, survivors are more than just a number.
I think far too often we get just kind of stuck in the statistics. Okay, 1 in 5 women, but we don't really realize that that's, a person who has an experience.
Both Davidson and the police want survivors to know that they have someone to talk to. In Urbana, I'm Cassidy Williams, UI7 News.
For survivors wanting to talk, there are both confidential and non-confidential resources available. Confidential resources include the Women's Resource Center, which can be reached at 217-333-3137. You can also call the Counseling Center at 217-333-3704. Police departments are considered non-confidential resources because if the case goes to a trial, a victim's name will be made public. The University of Illinois Police Department can be reached at 217-333-1216. The Champaign Police Department can be reached at 217-351-4545. As always, 911 should be used for emergencies.
Several events are happening across the U of I campus for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. UI7's Joseph E. Davis has more on how these events are helping survivors tell their story.
It Happens Here is an event that helps bring awareness to sexual assault incidents at U of I by sharing the stories of survivors. Although sexual assault is usually viewed as a very personal issue, Alana Williams believes that it should be addressed on a larger scale.
Society needs to understand that this is not just a survivor's issue. This is not just an issue for the people that experience it and the people that are directly affected by it. It affects all of us.
Organizers of the event showed the widespread impact that sexual assault has had through a display. This map offers a visual representation of sexual assault cases that occurred here on U of I campus. Each dot represents a survivor. In the way that people refer to sexual assault survivors can be telling of how they perceive them.
I say survivor, but a lot of people see victim. So you're stigmatized as if emotionally you can't function or there is no healing for you or.
Events like It Happens Here assist with the healing process by giving voices to the survivors.
To reclaim their voice, whether it be writing a story anonymously, performing it, or sharing someone else's story, sharing their own story. It's regaining that voice, regaining that strength, and understanding that you are a survivor and you will continue on and your voice is heard and you do matter.
In Champaign, I am Joseph E. Davis, UI7 News.
The forecast has called for rain the past day or so, but little precipitation has actually fallen in our area.
Let's check in with UI7's Mia Rose for a look at the FastCast forecast for tonight. She's live outside in Urbana.
As you can see, it's been absolutely gorgeous out here, and it's been gorgeous for the past several days. We were supposed to see a little bit of rain today, but luckily we just missed that. The rain hit in more western Illinois. Let's take a look at tonight's FastCast. Tonight we're seeing the temperature to drop a little bit, around 63 degrees, mostly cloudy with a light wind. And so make sure to bring out those jackets tonight. I'll be back with a more detailed look at your forecast for the rest of the week in just a few minutes.
A special new business in Champaign opens up next week. Hear from a U of I student who will benefit from the county's first medical marijuana dispensary.
And with some students are having a hard time focusing on school. Still to come, find out how seniors are being affected by senioritis.
Tomorrow is 4/20 and marijuana enthusiasts are eager to celebrate. A local cannabis dispensary will also be opening next week. UI7's Jasmine Reynolds has more on the opening of the new dispensary and the services it'll offer.
It's herbal, green, and celebrated by many on April 20th. Marijuana is making its way to Champaign to medicate local residents. Champaign's first medical cannabis dispensary will be opening soon, and patients will be able to get the drug in the form of pills and topicals. U of I student Drew Soul has been using medical cannabis for a year now, and he thinks many people can benefit from the new dispensary.
The nice thing about medical marijuana is there are so many different strains of the actual plant out there that have a variety of medicinal effects that you can just basically choose one and cater to your needs.
The dispensary is called Phoenix Botanical, and it's located on Neal Street, just south of Kirby. The Phoenix Botanical Medical Dispensary is one of the first dispensaries to be opened in Champaign, and it's gaining a lot of support. Phoenix Botanical Manager Dan Lynn says people are starting to understand how using the plant as medicine can aid with health issues.
I think that medical cannabis has far fewer side effects than most pharmaceutical drugs, and I think that of the side effects that cannabis has, they're not nearly as detrimental as a lot of the drugs that a lot of these patients are taking.
And people like Soul hope the new dispensary pushes more people to learn about the drug.
I really just encourage a lot of people to look into it, because as the laws change, more and more people will be able to have access to medical marijuana.
Phoenix Botanical is scheduled to open in Champaign next week. In Champaign, Jasmine Reynolds, UI7 News.
The U of I campus is feeling a little more green than usual with Earth Day this Friday. Students are able to attend Earth Appreciation events all week. Students experienced the taste of a couple vegan and vegetarian meals at the university. This was followed by a cooking demonstration where students learned how to prepare vegan mac and cheese and vegetarian black bean burgers. This is one of just several events being hosted by U of I Students for Environmental Concerns this week. They're also hosting a screening of the film Chasing Ice, a clothing swap, and a nature walk throughout the week.
In other news, it's a contagious feeling among many students who graduate U of I senior. UI7's Nathaniel Stewart is live on the campus in Urbana to tell us about a pattern that is sweeping across the campus.
Many of the students here on campus are already experiencing spring fever. And with the semester coming to a close and the nice weather we've been having, a lot of the seniors are continually catching the highly contagious senioritis. And a few of them are having a really tough time overcoming it. With the end of the semester coming to a close, senioritis is making it harder for students to finish strong in their studies. Demetrius Wade, senior English major, says that he has been hit hard with the senioritis bug.
I absolutely believe that senioritis is real. I think some of the early warning signs or symptoms, as you will, is a feeling of complacency, early contentment, and no longer having the drive to continue to excel.
The senioritis makes it harder for seniors to get up out of bed and even go to class in the morning, which even pushes breakfast farther and farther into the day. The nice weather outside doesn't seem to be helping either. More and more students are being found enjoying the quad playing games, sleeping in hammocks, and even just lounging out and reading a good book. Malcolm Jamal, academic advisor for Global Studies, hopes that students understand the importance of finishing their academic career on a good, strong note.
You're really setting the tone for your career and how you will carry yourself as a professional. So ending on a strong note is very important psychologically for yourself.
But for seniors like Wade, this is easier said than done. However, Wade says that there are ways to combat this self-diagnosed illness.
Well, the first thing I would suggest is to not focus too much on graduation. I think that looking forward to graduation is cool, but just focusing too much on it can actually take you out of the focus that you need to have in order to finish your last semester successfully.
In Urbana, Nathaniel Stewart, UI7 News.
Coming up, we'll check in to find out if this beautiful spring weather is here to stay. 20 years ago today, 33 tornadoes occurred in Illinois. That day is etched in the Urbana community's memories for all the wrong reasons.
Here you can see one of the F3 tornadoes that swept through the nearby Ogden and Urbana areas. This caused damage to many buildings and flattened major parts of these two areas.
Many residents have been reflecting on the tragedy that occurred and still feel the impact of the devastation.
This anniversary reminds us of the importance of being prepared for whatever the weather has in store. UI7's Mia Rose now gets you ready for the week ahead with the weather forecast.
Absolutely beautiful weather today. We are seeing sunny skies with light clouds, perfect weather for laying out. And so if you go into our national weather, we're actually not seeing that nice of weather all around. If starting in Chicago, we are seeing very low pressure, so scattered thunderstorms. All the way down to St. Louis, we're also seeing a lot of precipitation. So be careful if you're traveling, you might get caught in some thunderstorms. Going into our national temperature, we are seeing about our lowest temperature right now is in Denver, around 48. But if you go across the board, it is getting warmer. So we're seeing around 76 in Dallas, and then a good 81 in Atlanta. So very warm, very, very warm. And just for the Midwest, we're finally seeing this peak of spring we've all been waiting for. We have around 80 in Indianapolis, which is so awesome. But up in Chicago, we're going back to 58, so you get that cool lakefront chill. And then if we go into just local temperatures, we're going back up to the 70s. So we're seeing around 77 in Champaign-Urbana, which is so warm, 72 in Bloomington-Normal, and then down to 74 in Decatur. So we're seeing 70s all locally, which finally feels like spring going into summer. And so now tonight we are seeing about 63 degrees, so going a little bit down. We're going to have a slight wind, just southeast winds 5 miles per hour, nothing too crazy. So make sure to wear a light jacket if you're leaving the house tonight. And tomorrow we are seeing a chance of thunderstorms, or the chance of rain right now stands at 50%. It will be about 72 degrees, so still pretty warm, but just make sure to check the weather before you leave the house. And now going into our 5-day forecast. With that low pressure system we've been seeing, we will see some storms in the next couple days. The chance of rain is at 50%, so make sure to check that. And then on Friday, we're finally seeing a slight peak of sun again. It will be about 66 degrees with a low of 40. But then as we go into the weekend, we will finally be seeing those mid to high 70s.
So with this warm weather, what have you guys been doing?
I've been spending a lot of time on the quad lately. I'm loving it. Finally getting rid of my old jacket.
Oh yeah, I've been laying out on the quad every day.
Finally taking full advantage. We've had such miserable weather, so now we can relax and take some sun rays in.
It's finally feeling like summer. I'm getting senioritis and summeritis. Am I right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mia. Now it's time for sports. Ryan White is here with our report.
Thanks, Joey. Stay tuned for a preview of Illini baseball as they take on the EIU Panthers tonight. And a freshman on the men's gymnastics team made history over the weekend. Find out why after the break. With a 4-game winning streak at stake, the Illinois baseball team is finishing up its 2-game series with Eastern Illinois as we speak. The Illini will look to sweep the season series against the Panthers. Illinois took a 9-7 win on April 5th in Champaign and has won 7 of the last 10 games against EIU. With their latest win last week, the Illini are now above the 500 mark with a 17-16 record. Second baseman Michael Hurwitz will also look to extend his 9-game hitting streak. Tonight's matchup will be the only road game for the rest of April. And a U of I gymnast just became the youngest NCAA title holder in history. 17-year-old freshman Brandon Nye took the 2016 NCAA Pommel Horse title with a score of 15.45. Despite being the youngest ever member of the Illinois men's varsity team, Nye has competed on pommels in all but one regular season meet. Unfortunately, Nye's score was not enough to win the team title. The Illini placed fourth with a score of 432.05, behind Stanford, Ohio State, and the Oklahoma Sooners, who brought home the championship for the second year in a row with a score of 443.4. The Illini and the Sooners are now tied for the second most all-time championships, behind Penn State. Brandon Nye is not the only athlete from U of I who is making history. Illinois' own Tatiana McFadden won her 4th Boston Marathon this week. McFadden is the first person ever to win all 4 of the world's major marathons in London, Boston, New York, and Chicago. She finished the Boston Marathon in 1 hour and 42 minutes. Next week, she'll be traveling across the pond in the hopes of winning a 4th London Marathon. And more big changes are coming for Illini football. U of I Athletic Director Josh Whitman and new head coach Levy Smith say the team will be dropping Camp Rantoul from its training schedule this fall. Camp Rantoul has been a staple of the Illinois football program and the Rantoul community for almost 2 decades. But Coach Smith says he believes an on-campus training program is what is best for the team. According to News Gazette, Whitman said, "Our campus offers tremendous facilities, convenience, and familiarity to our players and coaches. We are also excited about the opportunities that an on-campus training camp provides our fans and local community to interact with our team and experience Illinois football in a personal way." Training camps are due to start in August. Women's basketball is also losing a staple part of their team. Illinois' leading scorer and rebounder will not be returning next season. Head coach Matt Ballant announced Friday that 6'3" center Shatrice White is transferring schools. This announcement is the latest in the controversy surrounding the women's basketball program. Last week, the U of I settled a $375,000 lawsuit to be divided among 7 former players who allege Ballant and other members of the coaching staff created a racially hostile environment. White is a former McDonald's All-American who averaged 18.4 points and 9.3 rebounds per game her sophomore season for a 9-21 team. It is unknown whether her departure is related to the lawsuit. White is the second Nebraska native to leave U of I in recent weeks. Sophomore Brooke Kissinger announced last Wednesday that she is transferring to Creighton. Softball is set to play Eastern Illinois tomorrow at 5 at Eichelberger Field. The Orange and Blue will be taking a one-day break from Big Ten play when they take on the Panthers. Illinois is coming off a series win against Purdue after another good performance from pitcher Brianna Wonderly and a home run from Nicole Evans in a 10-6 win. They will continue to try to climb the standings as they currently are in 4th place in the Big Ten. The Illini only have 3 Big Ten series left and 1 non-conference game against Indiana State to close out the year. And that's it for your UI7 Sports. I'm Ryan White. Back to you.
With Earth Day coming up on Friday, this week's Health Minute touches on how living near green spaces may help you live longer.
Living closer to nature could help women live longer. A study published in the journal Environmental Health Perspectives suggests a link between the amount of vegetation around homes and significantly lower mortality rates among women. The study was conducted by researchers at Brigham and Women's Hospital and the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. Researchers looked at data from more than 100,000 women in the U.S. over an 8-year period. They compared the number of deaths in that group to satellite imagery, analyzing the different levels of vegetation nationwide. Then, they also accounted for risk factors such as age, ethnicity, and tobacco use. They found that for lush areas with a lot of greenery, women had a 12% lower mortality rate than in areas with the least amount of vegetation. The study's authors say there could be several reasons for that: less air pollution and possibly higher physical activity. Other similar studies have suggested the same thing, but many of those studies are smaller and some of the findings have been contradictory. For Health Minute, I'm Jeremy Roth.
At the U of I put on an event allowing students to make rainbow cultural connections this past weekend. The playing fields at Lincoln and Florida Avenues became a color war zone Saturday as students gathered to celebrate Holi. Participants chased and covered each other with colored powders and were treated to traditional Indian food and performances. Hindus in India and Nepal typically usher in the springtime with this 2-day festival in early March. Holi is also known as the Festival of Colors and the Festival of Sharing Love. At the U of I, festivities are planned by the RSO Asha for Education, which works to provide access to education in underprivileged children in India.
So we're about 3 weeks from commencement. What do you guys think about that?
I'm so nervous. I can't even believe that it's almost over. It seems like the past 4 years have just gone so fast.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't believe we're graduating. I feel like I was just a freshman here yesterday,
Remember
and tomorrow I'm a graduating senior. Like, we all sat at this news desk as freshmen.
It's just winding down, and Nate's package is pretty true. Senioritis, at least for me, is kicking in. Not for the newscast, of course, but at least in general, I got a little bit of it for sure. That's a wrap for tonight's edition of UI7 News. Thank you for joining us.
We'll be back next Tuesday. There's another edition of UI7 News Thursday night.
Good night.